So hi, I'm Dave Meeker. I work at a company called Isobar. We are an international digital agency. Not going to talk too much about us, but I do want to set the tone of what it is we do and why I'm sharing with you what I am sharing with you. I am a tech evangelist at heart. I love technology. I love what it can do for us. And my day-to-day is spent trying to introduce brands and Fortune 500 clients on why they should adopt and move into the future. And I'm really kind of, in our world, there's the people who want measurement and hard results, and then there's me pushing in the other direction of, we should do this and let's lead the charge. Everyone here at this building, I assume, cares today about AR being successful in the marketplace and what it's going to take for that to happen. I will tell you that my clients in many cases don't understand the difference between AR and VR. So that's one thing that we have to overcome, and it's an educational thing. I'm not going to teach you anything today because you're all a bunch of very smart people, probably smarter than myself, but I hope to offer some insights that maybe you can think about as you guys move your own businesses forward, whether that be hardware or software, service providers, et cetera. So a little background on us. We're about 6,000 people. We're in 70 different offices across, I think, 43 markets. Our clients are big and long-term, from the US Air Force, McDonalds, Avis. We're doing a bunch of work with enterprise, Sotheby's, large enterprise companies that gain a lot when using new technologies, both in doing the services they provide to people, and then they also use a lot of these technologies in the world of marketing. Touch a little bit of both of those, because we do both of those things, from strategy, and then where I work mostly is like in experiences and product development, but we also go and do the marketing campaigns around those things that we build for people. Been recognized as a leader, Forrester and Gartner. I'm not going to go into accolades too much or talk about us, but I do want to talk about the way brands adopting AR. I will also reference a little bit of VR stuff in here too, again, because there's so much overlap and confusion right now in the marketplace. So if you look at these guys, these companies in your head, you can probably all come up with instant examples of how you could apply augmented reality to them, either as products or for them to be using in manufacturing or servicing cars or making food or running an auction or as a toy add-on. And then the US Air Force, there's probably 1,000 different use cases. We're working on a prototype right now with the Air Force, LUCI, Logistics Enterprise Weapons Systems Cloud Intelligence, because everything in the Air Force, if you've ever worked with that group, needs an acronym. This is a HoloLens prototype that basically gives a lower level technician the capabilities of an advanced technician because it overlays instructional content on an aircraft, but it also allows you to understand in context, while this aircraft is on the ground, what needs to happen to it, what can happen to it in terms of repairs because of the inventory I have on my shelves while this thing gets up in the air before it needs repairs in 2 weeks. And it's a bunch of algorithms running that go along with the logistics of moving these kinds of vehicles around. For Sotheby's, we're creating a prototype right now in AR. The story here is that they had a potential client who wanted a large piece of art for his yard in Silicon Valley. And if I like it when it gets to my yard, I'll pay you the millions of dollars for it. Well, they end up running an aircraft and a wide load truck and a crane, and they put it in the yard. He decides he doesn't like it. So why not be able to take artwork, send someone the headset, and let them visualize different pieces of art, whether in their yard or in their house. So really very simple use of AR, very simple application to create. The models were created using photogrammetry with photography. The painting, when I first saw this, thought was actually a real painting. It looks pretty good. We're also doing some stuff around art. So we've been working with a rock band from the 90s that has hinted on reuniting, and their designer who designs their sets and us have been working extensively in Tiltbrush to create some art direction for what VR and AR experiences could look like if you were to create a record album in today's world. I see this as beautiful art. I would love to go to a thing at the MoMA where I walk into an exhibit and there's nothing in the exhibit and they hand me a headset. The idea here is that these pieces recreate the phenomenon of synesthesia, so seeing sound, and I think that's a fantastic use and very playful. Now we've got field of view issues and performance things, fairly complicated renderings. But so we're doing this kind of work today. So AR isn't new, right? We know this, and we could have the academic discussion that it goes back years and years and years. But in my world and with my clients, 5, 6 years ago, really with a second version of the iPhone, AR apps hit the marketplace, right? And so there's this, a lot of them have tried it, it didn't work, and the reason it didn't work is because of this idea of friction of I have to have this app on my phone. I think beacons are a really amazing thing too, but you have to have that embedded in your app, and there's friction and people don't want to adopt stuff. It needs to be cooked into a frictionless kind of thing. Move AR up into the OS, and every consumer in the planet right now would be using AR apps on their phones. Things do seem more promising. So I think these are important. These are the things that run through the heads of my clients when we talk to them. More content creation tools, making it less complicated to make content, really a big thing. This idea of wearing it versus having to whip it out. Faster processors, obviously a big deal, which is why all of this stuff is advancing, and then having more bandwidth so I can get more complex content down to a device, right? So that's all good stuff. And then the clients go off and they see things like this, and they go, oh my God, like this is, I want that. And I worry a little bit that we're over-promising things because yes, those things are possible. Here, let me lug this giant machine around with me and put a piece of glass in front of your face and I can show you that. Or let me spend $10 million creating content and then we do the experience. So it's not kind of out-of-the-box content experiences. But they also see this, right? There's this huge market ahead of us. And as things get more expensive and content gets more complicated, the ability to reach those consumers gets smaller, but there's a huge market ahead of us, both in internal facing, like B2B kind of apps, as well as consumer facing apps. And that's something that they're all rushing after. So how brands are discovering or talking about using AR, so apps as a product. This application, I am a company, this is my product, and you use my app. We see that all the time now. All the .com startups that have made a ton of money and mobile startups are doing that. Apps supporting a product. So I have a car, now I have an AR app that goes with my car. Or I have an AR app that goes with my home security system, or my refrigerator, or what other devices or products. There's AR hardware used by employees. So in my world, like the Airforce, you look at an enterprise rent-a-car, you check your car in, it makes total sense that they can pull up data in their line of sight and contextually. And then lastly, as advertising and marketing platforms. Again, we have to remove the friction of adoption for users, and that will lead to investment in content by brands. We do acknowledge this is a VentureBeat quote, but the VR industry right now, its biggest threat is underwhelming content. Hardware adoption by consumers will lead to investment in content by brands. I'll spend money if they got the devices. And then the consumers are going, well, there's no really good content for me to go buy the devices. If only you'd spend the money to make the content, I'd buy the device. And that's where we're at. I think a way to get over that is as an industry to plan into all of your heads. This requires collaboration with brands and investing in adoption. You want Coca-Cola to use your thing? Give Coca-Cola 50 headsets. Help them write an app. Get them going. You're going to spend $1 million. Great, but you'll make 20 million on the back end. Don't expect them to do it themselves. You're going to need to push this thing forward collectively. Two more things. This guy, not really my client, but when I start talking about, okay, we need to create the application, we're going to use a Unity. And their whole IT department, the CIO's office is like, what is that? It's a game engine. And they freeze, right? Or we could talk about Unreal, and then it's even like more panic. So we have to get over these things being perceived as game engines and as new software development kits, which means they also have to mature to the enterprise and talk to the enterprise clients that way. A couple other things, 3D asset creation needs to become easier, simpler, faster, and more scalable. Content needs to be more easily optimized. We see Hollywood has all this great 3D content. They want to make VR or AR apps, except it won't render in real time because it's the trillion polygons and it requires Houdini server farms in order to get the content to a device. So we need to make better content optimization tools. And then this is a big one, content management integration. Every big website in the world right now runs off of really sophisticated content management systems. Adobe's leading that charge. There has to be some way to drive these experiences off of a CMS and with a workflow, and that is a big deal. Anybody wants to invest money, I will go in with you, we will create that company, and we'll sell it to Adobe in a couple years for $10 billion. And that's it. Any questions? If not, I graciously pass forward to the next presenter.